Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. And now I love a Sudoku with a backstory. And this one's really, really unusual. I had an email from Leander. And Leander is a French horn player and teacher of the French horn, I think to a very high standard, because one of his former university students was a man called Tim. And Tim was an avid puzzler and has started to create puzzles and is sending them to Leander to have a look at. And this is the second Sudoku puzzle that Tim, who constructs under the name Timpanist, has ever made. And Leander sent it to us and said, "You really should have a look at this. This is quite incredible stuff." So that's what we decided to do. Now, normally, I would wait for testing to come back on a puzzle. However, this puzzle is on Logic Masters Germany. It doesn't have a rating yet. I found it on Logic Masters Germany. I had a quick look at the comments, and they're from people like Snookerfan, who I really trust as a judge of a puzzle, saying that this is just simply wonderful. And I really, really like the rule sets of this, and I just want to have a go at it. So forgive me if this is something out of order, because normally we do wait for proper testing, but I'm confident enough that it has a unique solution, and I'm interested enough in the rule set that I want to have a go at it. It is called the No 9 line. And when I read you the rules, I think you'll be as intrigued as I am that this has a unique solution. And I get 6 given digits, which is a rarity nowadays. I have absolutely no clue how hard this is. So because it's not even been rated on Logic Masters, I can't even tell. So this could be a very long video or a very short video, or not a video at all. We'll see. But anyway, we'll read the rules together in a moment or two's time. Let me tell you a couple of things that are going on in and around the channel before that. We're streaming again tonight. We're going back to the Blueprints Mansion. So if you've been enjoying our journey through that incredible computer game, do join us 10 p.m. UK time. I'll try and remember to put a link on the screen. And if you've never joined us in the Blueprints Mansion, I can promise you it is quite an interesting place. And the chat is well, it's a great place for nerds to hang out. That's all I'll say. Oh yeah, now over on Patreon, let's see how our monthly competition is going. We've got some incredible numbers for this one. We've already had 1,500 solves of the first puzzle and 118 solves of all 19 puzzles. 145, so that's ticked up a bit, hasn't it? Oh, the 1,500 hasn't ticked up by as much, but we're closing in on 5 puzzles now, having 1,000 solves each. So definitely get involved. If you're a patron of the channel, do check this out. It is wonderful. By the Skunk Works, of course. You can see the names of the constructors listed there, and they are some of the great and the good of the Sudoku community. So definitely worth having a look at. And I've got one birthday to do today, and I would like to wish Silvio a very happy 30th birthday. Your wife Lily wrote to me and told me that you watch every day. So Silvio, thank you very much for doing that. I hope today is a good day, but B, a chocolate cake filled day, and I hope that chocolate cake, of course, has a 1-to-1 ratio. A 1-to-1 ratio. 2-to-1 in terms of double as much icing as cake is probably going just slightly too far, but 1-to-1 ratio of icing to cake is what I recommend, and I hope that is what you have in store. And that's all the news. Let's have a look at I almost said the number 9 line, but I think it is the No 9 line by Timpanist. These are the rules of the puzzle. We have got normal Sudoku rules applying, so we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Now we have to draw a single closed loop that moves orthogonally and does not branch or intersect itself. The loop must visit every cell except for the 9 cells containing a 9. So we're going to pop some 9s in the grid, and then the loop we draw will have to go through every single other cell. Moving orthogonally, let's just deal with what that means. Let me go to the line drawing tool. So an orthogonal movement means a movement across an edge. A diagonal movement is not allowed. That is not an orthogonal movement. That's why it's not allowed. So this sort of thing is going to be absolutely fine. Now, box local sums. The 3x3 box borders divide the loop into segments. Within a box, every segment must have the same sum. This sum may vary from box to box, and every box must have at least 2 segments. So, if... I was just thinking, I was going to do that. I was forgetting that we're not allowed to go through 9s. So let's say that's a 9. Then what we'd be saying is that this would be a segment of the loop going through box 5, that would be a segment of the loop, and that would be a segment of the loop, and each of these would have to have the same sum. And every box must have at least 2 segments. I had 3 segments there. And okay, now, also, let's get rid of that 9 before I get the puzzle wrong. No 2 adjacent cells directly connected by the loop may sum to 9. So if that was a loop set, this digit couldn't be a 7, because obviously 7 and 2 sum to 9, and that's apparently naughty today. We mustn't do that. They are all the rules. Do have a go. I told you it was an interesting rule set. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. I say let's get cracking. We've got to... what do we have to do? There are 70... Okay, so there are 72 cells in this puzzle that are looped. And we know that because it's a 9x9 grid. So 81 cells. There are 9 9s in it because of Sudoku rules. So 72 cells have to be covered by the loop. And yeah, okay. And we know something more, don't we? Because we know that the loop goes into every 3x3 box at least twice. We need to be looking at the factors of 36, I think. Now, if you're saying, what is he talking about? That is because you might not know the secret of Sudoku, but do not worry. Do not worry. I always share the secret of Sudoku with my favourite people. And if you're watching this video, of course, you're one of my favourite people. So I'm going to share the Sudoku secret with you. Now, the secret of Sudoku is that every single box of a Sudoku, so for example, this box, contains the digits 1 to 9 once each. And if we sum the digits 1 to 9, what do we get? We get 45. That is the secret. Now, but we know that the loop cells in this box, for example, will sum to 36, therefore, because the 9 in this box is the only unlooped cell. So somehow or other, the loop segments in this box, for example, and we know there are at least 2, so we know the maximum size of a loop segment is going to be 8. If there were just 2 loop segments, then each loop segment would sum to 18. But if there were 3 loop segments, each loop segment would sum to 12. 36 divided by 3. Now, if there were 4 loop segments, it wouldn't work. Because if there were 4 loop segments, each segment would sum to 9, and that's actually not allowed by the rules. Because imagine you did have a loop segment like that, and we were claiming that these sum to 9. Well, those 2 digits are going to sum to 9, and that's not going to work. But could you... Hang on, I've had a different thought. Could you have 4 loop segments in a box? No, you couldn't, could you? I was wondering whether you could have 4 loop segments. No, you obviously can't, in fact. Because, yeah, sorry, I was just wanted to deal with that sort of outlier case. Could you have 4 loop segments in a box with each segment summing to 9 and make one of those segments, or make the segments long enough? It's nonsense. You can't do it. that they didn't involve dominoes. Now, you can make 3 different Sudoku numbers add to 9, that's fine. But you can't have 4 different 3-cell segments in this box, because that will involve at least 12 cells, plus the 9 is 13 cells, so that's nonsense. So we are looking, okay, so this is constraining, because what we've now deduced, actually, whoopsie, is that in every box, there's either going to be 2 or 3 loop segments, and if there are 2, they're going to sum to 18, and if there are 3, they're going to sum to 12. Now, yeah, there can't be 1 loop segment. It says that there's at least 2 in every box. And there can't be 4, because then we're down to 9s. Right. So that is correct. Now, I don't know what to do with that, though. Right. No, I do know what to do with that. Well, I don't really know what to do with that. But I do think that I now know the size of the loop segments in this, well, the corner boxes then. Because you can't put 3 loop segments into this box, for example. There's only 5 exits, and then there's only 6. Oh. No. Okay, now I'm going to revise what I was going to say. For some reason, it is right, but my brain was wrong. So what I was going to say was that it is a bit weird that there are only 5 entrances and exits to this box. That's what I was going to say. But that was how my brain saw it. So my brain was sort of saying that could be an entrance or an exit, that could be an entrance or an exit, that could be an entrance or an exit, and that could be an entrance and exit. And my brain saw this cell and said that's a 5th entrance and exit. Well, that's not quite right, is it? Because you could enter there and exit there. So that does give a count of 6. But actually that's trivially impossible. Because if you did actually put 6 entrances, so 6 line segments coming in, or 3 coming in and 3 going out, the only way you could do that is to have a 1-cell segment. And actually, because we know every segment size in the puzzle is either 12 or 18, that's not going to work. So my brain was right, but for the wrong reason. And it is true to say, then, that for this box, there are going to be 2 entrances to it and 2 exits from it, because there can't be 3 of each. And you obviously can't have an odd number of line segments going into box 1, for example, because then it won't be a loop. One of those loop segments will be stranded in the box. So both loop segments in box 1 will sum to 18. And that logic is transplantable to all of the corner boxes. So in each corner box there are 2 loop segments, and the digits on each segment will sum to 18. So the length of the segments can't be 2 cells. So what we can't do is something like this, because you could never make those 2 digits add up to 18. Or the corollary of that is that if you did do that, your second loop segment would take up 6 cells, because the only cell it wouldn't take would be the 9, and the minimum sum of 6 different digits is 21, and yet we've got a maximum of 18 for the loop segment, so that's not going to work. So either the segments are going to be of length 3 and 5, or they're going to be of length 4 and 4 in this box. Now, do we know? I mean, I can see 4 and 4 looks difficult. The only way I'm managing to draw 4 cell segments in this box are going to either strand the other segment, or I can envisage it being something like that. And that I can see that doesn't work, because where am I now going to put the 9 such that I can get a segment in and out? You just can't put the 9 anywhere. And if you do this, on the other hand, or that, for example, you've still got the same problem. You can't get in and out of the box. So it feels like 4 is very difficult, but that's not a proof. That's just a thing that I'm saying. So, hang on. So if you do okay, if you have a length 4 loop segment and you're moving orthogonally, you're changing bishop's colour, aren't you, within the box? What do I mean by that? I'm thinking about the box like this and like that. So like, imagine it's a chessboard. And if I'm trying to draw a length 4 loop segment through this, you can see that if I come in on purple, I'm going to go out through green. And if I come in through green, I've got to go out through purple. Whereas a length 3 loop segment or a length 5 segment, I'm going to come in and come out on the same colour. Oh, see that? I'm going to have a problem with that as well, actually. God, it's actually quite difficult to do this, because what I've now noticed is if I come into this cell at all, you just can't come into that cell. You can't come into it at all. It doesn't work. Because whether this is an odd length whether the segment I tried to build from this cell is odd or even length, I'm going to end up with the most dreadful pattern in the box that's going to prevent the second loop segment being formed. So imagine that you try and draw a 3 cell segment from here. Well, you're either doing that or you're doing that. But then you've got to put another segment in, so which is of length 5. But you're going to be coming in and coming out on the opposite colours of loop segment, which means that you should be that should be an even length segment. You could see you could draw an even length segment, but you can't draw an odd length segment if you've come into this box. It just doesn't work. Yeah, because that's really interesting. God, this is explainable somehow in terms of bishop's colouring, isn't it? Yeah, so okay, let's stick with that thought. So if you say, how could you generalize the proof that I'm sort of observing that 2 length 4 loop segments are impossible? It's because given that the length of the loop segment needs to be at least 4, well, no, it is 4 in both cases. No matter where you come in, you're going to take 2 of the opposite coloured entrances and exits, and I mean it's sort of, you can almost do it by observation, but you just, no matter how you draw it, you're always stranding. You're always stranding the wrong coloured cells, if you see what I mean. You really can't do it. You really can't do it. It's a bit of a hand wavy explanation, but I'm absolutely convinced you can't draw a 4-cell segment through here. You're going to take an entrance and an exit of opposite colours, and then you're going to need, well, okay, oh sorry, my phone's now buzzing at me. I hate it when that happens. Okay, let's try it a different way. If it's a length 4 segment, I have to take this and this, because I need entrances and exits of opposite colours. And I need length 4 segments, so this cell is completely impossible to take now. So what is going on? Stop it. So this would have to be the 9, and this therefore has to be the entrance and the exit, but both segments are of length 4, and they're going to crash into each other. That's as good as I've got. There you go. That's I mean, it's definitely proved. But there's still a problem with a length 3 segment, because if you do a length, well, no, there's not. No, that's not true. But there is a problem with a length 3 segment if you come in, if this is an entrance or this is an entrance. Because you then have to go out. So we know that the length of the segments in box 1 are odd now. We've proved that. So they're length 3 and length 5. But if you come in here and try and build a length 3 or length 5 segment, you're going to take this one as an entrance or exit and this one as an entrance or exit. But that means you've taken 2 of the purple entrance and exits. So the other segment you're going to put in is going to have to come in and out on the green, which is, and now this can't go anywhere. It's completely isolated. I mean, that's actually, I guess, quite an elegant way of describing it. I'm sorry. I mean, I know a lot of people will probably do this puzzle and they will just instantly they'll sketch it a couple of times and go, oh, it's obviously impossible. But I do feel an obligation to try and prove these things, because inevitably, if I don't, the comments will really, that there are people in the comments who really like to see a very firm and rigorous explanation. I don't blame them at all. And I think the bishop's colouring actually has convinced me. And this is good. This is very, well, I'm not sure how good it is. But what it means is that actually now, this cell here is simply unavailable. Because we know we're dealing with a length 3 and a length 5 segment, and we can't use this. This is. I'm not saying that cell is out of bounds and off the loop. So I'm not saying it's a 9. In fact, I couldn't say, because you couldn't put 9s in all 4 of those without breaking Sudoku. But I am saying that this cell is not an entrance or an exit for these 3 and 5 length segments. So what I think we can do now, that logic is certainly transposable to all corner boxes, but perhaps more interestingly, now the 2 entrances and exits to these boxes are definitely these, aren't they? I mean, I can totally see why Leander is sort of mesmerised by this. This is a really cool idea. So now I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually, because these are all, or maybe I should have done this before. Actually, I didn't think of doing this, but I'm going to actually fill those in green to say they're on the loop, and I'm going to fill in all the givens, because all the givens are definitely not 9s, are they? Right, here's a different point. You can't, it's a bit of a Yajulin point. If you've ever done the Japanese logic problem, Yajulin, you'll know that you can't put a sort of a black square in those puzzles next to the edge. So in this puzzle, if you were to put a 9 here, let's put 9 in, then you know this cell is not a 9, so it's on the loop. But you couldn't go into this cell and get out of it, so that's not going to work, is it? So all of these cells that are adjacent to the corners, they're all on the loop, and no, or nearly. So that I thought I was going to get the 9 in box 1, but it's only got one of 2 places. So we've got very few places in the corners now or in the corner boxes, the 9s are at most in 3 different cells. Right, so what does this mean? This feels like it's a huge... breakthrough, and I've not even thought about that rule, well, not really thought about the rule about 9s yet either. So is that... So that 7 is on the loop. But it doesn't have to be... Do I know whether that's on the 3 or the 5? I don't think I do know whether it's on the 3 or the 5 cell segment. If that cell was green, the 5 cell segment would be that, and the 3 cell segment would be that. But if this is the 9, the 5 cell segment would be that, and that would be the 3 cell segment. Okay. Oh, it's really... I'm close to something here. Right, 2s. Where's 2 in this box? What I'm thinking is, how could the 2 not be on the 5 cell segment? I think it has to be. If it wasn't, what's the minimum digits you could put on the 5 cell segment? 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that adds up to 19, which is too big. So there is a 2 on the 5 cell segment. Where is the 5 cell segment in this box? Well, it depends obviously on where the 9 goes, but it's either sort of that sort of shape, it's either that shape, or it's that shape. It's one of those two. So the 2 on it is definitely in those 2 cells. I'm just wondering, though, whether that's a problem here. Because now I feel... I feel like that logic should be the same here. Is that wrong? Well, no, it's not, but that's really important, I think. I think this does something very profound, actually, because now in this box we can run that logic again. I know that the 2 is on the 5 cell segment. I don't know where the 5 cell segment is, but I feel it's on the outside of the 3 cell segment. Let me put it like that. Yeah, that must be right. The 3 cell segment, you can't make these 2 are on opposite bishop's colours, so they are not connected. These 2 are on opposite bishop's colours, so they are not connected in an odd length segment. So what we're doing is we're connecting this one to this one and this one to this one. You can't connect that one to that one because that's going to be stranded. So this and this are connected together. How are they achieving that? They're either wiggling like that or they're wiggling like that. But these are definitely the 3-cell segment. These are definitely the 5-cell segment. And the only way they can get through the box is like that or like that. And yet, if it was a V like this, you couldn't put 2 on it at all. So it must be a W pentomino like this shape, and the 2 on it can only go there. So what that means, and this is important, I think, is that is not only green, but this cell in the corner is unvisitable. So that cell is the 9. And now, there we go. There we go. So this cell is a 9. This cell is not a 9. So that's purple. So now we know exactly how the loop moves through box 1. It's beautiful, isn't it? The logic is just beautiful. That's got to be the shape of the 3-cell segment in box 7. And we're just going to keep doing the 2s. We're going to keep doing the 2s. Where's the 2 in this box? We know that this internal piece is a 3-cell segment, so it can't have 2 on it. And if this is a 2, it would have to. So the 2 must be, the 2 must be there, which is less good. Although it probably gives us the 9 in this box. Yeah, because, if this was the 9, that would be the 5-cell segment and it couldn't have a 2 on it, which won't work. So the 9 goes in the corner, the 2 goes here. That's a purple 9. So this, that's not a 9. Okay, it's still good. It's still good. We can do that. We can do that. I might not know yet about box 9, but we know some things. We can probably do 2 Sudoku. Oh, yeah, I can. I can do 2 Sudoku there. Let's double click all the 2s. It's really surprising to me, at least, how powerful the 2s are. So what do those 2 digits add up to? They add up to 11, because we know that segment adds up to 18. So it's 11 and it's not 9, 2 and it's not 4, 7. So it's either 5 and 6 or 3 and 8. Oh, that's hopeless. I'm sorry. No, that's probably not what we're meant to do next. I know that digit can't be a 9, so that's on the loop, which means that the loop is going in the corner. So that's how the 5-cell segment makes its way through box 9. But I don't know how the 3-cell segment moves. But the 3-cell segment's going to have a 5 on it, and then 2 digits that sum to 13 that are 6, 7. I mean, this is beautifully set. It's beautifully set because that's exactly the right question, I think. No, let me put that differently. It's exactly why this 6 is given, I suspect. Because, let's just go through that logic again. I know there's a 3-cell segment in this 2x2 that adds to 18 that's got 5 on it already. So the other 2 digits add to 13. They can't be 5, 8. They can't be 4, 9 because 9's not on the loop. There's only one other way of doing that, which is 6, 7, and this 6 is telling me that must therefore be the 6. So that therefore is the green digit. This is the 9. This is therefore a 7, and the loop moves like that. And now one of those 3 digits is a 9. One of these 3 digits is a 9. These digits are 1, 3, 4, and 8, and that's lovely. Along with a 2, they do add up to 18. Although, okay, I don't see at all how we're going to limit that. So, Do I know? It feels like it. Yeah, okay. There's no way that this loop turns up, because we've worked out that in every box, the loop segments either sum to 18 or 12. So if I was to join this up, this would either have to be a 6 or a 12. Well, that just won't work, will it? So we've got to go there. Which means that you see, can you turn that up? That would be, it couldn't be an 18 if it did that. That would have to be a 12. If okay. So here's the point. Well, here's a point about this point, this cell here. I don't think that can be an no. I don't think that can be an 18 segment. I don't think it can, because if it was an 18 segment, we'd have to decide where it moved next. Now, if it goes straight on, that won't work, because you can't make these two cells sum to 16, because there's a 9 already in the row. So the only way of making two different Sudoku digits add up to 16 is with 7 and 9. So that's not going to work. Now, therefore, if you're trying to claim that this cell is part of an 18 segment, it must move up. But that breaks, because now you've got to close this loop segment, and that means that this domino here is meant to sum to 18, which is clearly not going to work. You can't put double 9 into those cells. So actually, what we can say, well, all we can actually say is I don't know how this closes. I don't know whether it goes straight on or turns up, but I do know it's part of a 12 segment, which means that there are 3 segments in this box, which means that, well, what does that mean? There are 3 segments and there's 1 9. So the segments, such as they are, take up 8 of the cells, but there are 3 of them. So they could be something like 3, 3 and 2, or they could be 4 cells, 2 cells and 2 cells. So I don't know. And if I do join these up, then these don't add up to, these would add up to 10, wouldn't they? Which is quite difficult and in fact impossible. That's so low. This puzzle it's really fantastic. It's fantastic, because how would we make this is the question. How is that the pair of cells there adding up to 10? It can't be 2 8, it can't be 4 6, it can't be 1 9, so it's 3 7, but it can't be 3 7, because you can't put 7s next to 2s on the loop. So if you do join that up, it just won't work. So you have to turn that up, which turns that up. And now, okay, well now that cell, oh, I already knew that, I just hadn't done it. That's definitely a loop cell, because this is a 9. Oh, hang on, we've got to do this. I've neglected so badly. Oh, look, this is a 9. Oh no. Okay, so I've overcomplicated everything here. Never mind, that's fine. Look, no, I desperately have. Oh my goodness. Look at all this greenification. Oh gosh, I've just been the world's most eco-friendly man there for a moment. Now, how do I? So there's a 9 in one of those 4 cells, one of these 2 cells, one of these 2 cells. So, and I know that adds up to 12. But that's, it's okay, it's not 3 9. Is that all I know? It's 4 8 or 5 7. If it was 4, 8, I'd have a quadruple in the row of 1, 3, 4, 8. I'd have 5, 7, 1, 5, 7 to put into the rest of the cells. I couldn't put 7 there because it would be next to 2. If that goes up, no. Oh, sorry, this is relatively straightforward actually. There's no way that this cell goes up, because if it does go up, the problem is this cell. This has now got to be part of a 12 segment. So how are we going to achieve that? If we say it's a 2-cell segment like that, this would have to be a 6. That's not going to work. And if we connect it here, that's a 6-cell segment that we're claiming adds up to 12. Well, that's just total nonsense. The triangular number for 6 is 21. So we are going to close that. Now these cells have to be a 1-3 pair to make this add up to 12. But remember, we can't put 6s and 3s next to each other because they add up to 9. So that's a 3, that's a 1, that's a 3. Yeah, and now we've got to chaperone, we've got to let this 4, the 4 here is going to have to play gooseberry and stop the 1 and the 8 from canoodling. The 1 and the 8, look at this triple. The 1 and the 8 are desperate to be together. What would happen if this was 1 or 8? Then on one side there would be a 1 or an 8, and there would be a naughty 9 domino. So that has to be 4. The 4 has to keep the 1 and the 8 apart. Five. This segment is now 5, 7 because it's got 5 on it by Sudoku. So these digits are 4, 8, 9. But that's on the loop, so that's not 9, this one here. Yeah, that's quite interesting. So, no jokes. It is. No, these are the sorts of things I will talk to you about at parties, you lucky people. Look, so we're going to have to do that. It's sort of a Massue type logic, isn't it? Because what we're going to do is we're either going to run like this, and this is going to bump into the 9 and have to turn, or we're going to run like that and bump into the 9 and have to turn. So we're always making that segment. We just don't know which of these is the 9. I bet we can do... Well, actually, I'm not sure. Hang on, what do I know about this? I know that that's an 18 segment. Oh, I've got a 7 here. Sorry, I didn't see that. 7 and 5 can go in. Right, so I know what those two digits are. They are 4 and 8. I probably just have to pencil mark this, I think. 1, 3, 7. But this is an 18 segment. Yes, look here. Sorry, and this might be have been available for a while. This domino here is part of a 3-cell segment adding to 18. It's got to be 7, 3. Any other combination, this will be a double-digit number. So that is 7, 3. This is a 1. This is an 8. That's a 4. The given 7 is lovely, so that does work. And now these two digits, we're going to have to check this sum works. These two digits are 5 and 6. Yeah, that does work. 5 and 6 does work. Because 1, 2, 4 plus 5, 6 is 18. So that the world makes sense. Oh, this is good. This is good. Look now. The loop has sort of closed itself here. It's a closed loop. So if we were to make that, whoopsie, if we do that, we've got a small loop. We've got a pondy loop here and another loop going on the rest of the grid. So that's got to continue. That's got to turn. That's got to turn. And I'm quite sure that we now know the sum of that. But we can. Okay, Yeah, we actually do. Because here's the question. We know that the sum of the segments in this box is either 12 or 18. Now, if I fill this line with the minimum digits that we've got available, 3, 5, and 6, is 14. That's more than 12. So this is an 18 segment. And then we're going to use the secret to get this domino's sum at the top of the grid. So we know that's 18, 20, 34. This is an 11 domino. Oh, I don't believe it. Well, it's either 3, 8 or 5, 6 again. So it's the same as these. Oh, well, that's quite cool. So this is either 3, 8 or 5, 6, but that means this is a 1, 4 pair. That might Sudoku has perhaps been telling us that for a while. Right. We can't just close this loop because it won't add up to 12 or 18. So that's going across. Oh, but this time it's different. This could add up to 12. In fact, this does add up to 12. Because if we can't make this one add up to 18. This would have to be a 7, 9 pair. So this time, in this box, so that's really weird. In box 4, we've got in box 4 we've got 18 segments, so I've got 2 segments. Oh, sorry, that's an important point. There's only 2 segments. So I've got to join those up. Wow. Okay, but also in this box it's very different. Because we know this segment adds up to 12, all segments add up to 12, which means there are 3 segments. So what's happening there is that is a line segment, because we're either doing this or this to create the 3 segments. Now though, this domino adds up to 10. And it's not 1, 9, 2, 8, or 4, 6. So it's 3, 7. And I know the order. I was going to say I know the order because of not putting the 7 next to the 2. But I actually know the order from Sudoku as well. There's a naughty 3 down there. So 3 is in one of these cells. 3 is not in the corner now. Now remember, these added up to 11. So this is now not an 8. So these digits are 5, 6 is an 8. But this, this is good. This is good because we know that this is an 18 sum. So we can't pair the 8 up with a 5 or a 6 because it'll get too big. If there's an 8 in this segment, the rest of the segment, 4 different cells, is going to have to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the only way we can do this is to make this 5, 6, put 8 in the corner here, which makes this a 3. Now these cells are 5 and 6 to add to the 11. These cells are 1 and 4 by mathematics, which makes the this an 8, this a 1, and these digits are 7, 8, 3. And I know where the 7 goes, and I know where the 3 goes, and I know where the 8 goes. All of that work that we did first thing was so essential. It's just beautiful. This is a 5, 6, 7 triple, adding up to 18. So these digits are 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Now what can we do Sudoku-wise? We can get rid of 8s from there. And a 2. We can get rid of a 2 from here. We can get rid of 2 and 3 from here. We can probably do other things as well, but I don't know what those things are. Are there any naughty? We do have to avoid a 1, 8 domino in there. Oh, well, I should take my own advice then. Why don't I avoid a 1, 8 domino up here? That 8 has got to be next to 4. So now these are They're a 2, 3, 4 triple, so these don't include 4. So this is a 1, 8 pair. This is a 2, 3, 4 triple. And now there's no possibilities of naughty 9 dominoes, is there? Ah, what about here? Yeah, naughty 9 domino. If that was a 7, that would be a naughty 9. Okay, I'm not sure if we can do better than that. What about here? Can I make naughty 9 dominoes? Nope. What about here? Nope. Oh dear. Okay, what about there? Well, that's immediately interesting. That's a 5, 6, 7 triple, which makes me think that we're going to be joining this up again. I don't trust that. Well, although, again, if we look at this, this would be a closed loop if I did that. So I know I'm at least doing this. Yeah, that's good enough. That's good enough. Look at this segment, and let's consider whether this could be part of a 12 segment. How would we do that? Well, definitely it couldn't go here because that would be an 18 segment, so it would have to turn, and it's got to take at least 2 more cells to get to the edge of the box, and it's already going to have a count that's at least 11 because 5 and 6 would be the minimum. So actually this is an 18 box as well, and that's 1 segment. Okay, I don't quite know how to deal with that. I feel like I should know, but I don't think I do. Ah, that can't be a 7, because I'll create a naughty 9 domino. This is a 6, so I've got a 5 at the top of the grid by Sudoku. I could well imagine that I've neglected Sudoku appallingly here. let's just see if that's true. Hang on, that can't be a 9 because of Sudoku, which I was appallingly neglecting. Right, I've got a 2, 9 pair here. This is a 4, this is a 3. That's not a 3. This is not a 3. This is not a 3. These are not 2s. I've got a 2, 3, 4 triple in row 5. I've got to avoid naughty dominoes, but I can't put the 4 next to a 5 in this box, so that's very easy to avoid. And what are these digits then? 1, 3, 8. Okay, they are 1, 3, 8, and that's not a 3. So I've got to avoid attaching... I've got to avoid a 1, 8 pair in this column, which looks a little bit tricky. So hang on, how do we do that? So if this is a 1 or an 8, we can't go down. We'd have to turn in, which would make this a 2. So if this is 1 or 8, we turn into a 2. And then we go 4, 1 or 8, 3, 9. So the 3 and the 9 are always horizontal. So yeah, okay, I am going to use that actually. What I've just worked out, this is a bit complicated, but what I'm conscious of is I've got to stop 1 and 8 being adjacent on the line, on the loop in box 6. And it's clearly true to say that one of these cells is 1 or 8. Now, whichever one is 1 or 8, it can't then go straight forward into this cell because it will create a 9 domino. So it's going to turn. And obviously, if it turns, it's going to turn into a loop cell, which is therefore going to be the 2, which means the 9 and the 3 are going to be on the other side. So either this is a 9, 3 or this is a 9, 3. But look at the middle box. If this was 9, 3, then this will be a 3, and this will be a 9. The 3 and the 9, what effectively we're saying is that the 3 and the 9 in box 5 are in the same row. That's one way of extrapolating from the logic that we've got here. Because we know 3 and 9 are in the same row in box 6, looking at our pencil marks, we can therefore deduce that 3 and 9 are in the same row in box 5. But the 3 we know is in one of these two cells. So the 9 will have to be in one of these two. And therefore that is not a 9. I'm not sure this will do that much, but it does give me another 9, which I will certainly be happy to accept. And it tells me a little bit about how the loop enters box 5, although box 5 is a bit of an enigma, isn't it? These two... Oh, hang on. Well, no, this is better than I'd realised, actually, because I know 9 is in one of these two, yet I know this is on the loop, I actually get the 9, which means I get all the 9s out of nowhere. Now I can deduce how the loop moves through box 6. This is utterly, utterly brilliant. And now that's a corner of the loop, so the loop's going to have to do this. Now that's a corner of the loop, so again, that's... Oh, look, I've done it. I've done the loop. I have actually done the loop. Now... Okay, and we know that the 9 and the 3 are in the same row, so we know that's 3. And let's just see what would happen if we did make this 3. You can immediately see this would be a 1-8 pair adjacent on the loop, so it really, really would not work. Now, there's a 2 here. Okay, so that's a 4, that's a 2. This digit is, oh no, it's 5, 6 or 7 and appears to be able to be all of those things. Okay, this is not 9, this is not 3. I wonder, actually, maybe it's box 2 I've got to do. We're on 12 sums, aren't we, here? Oh yeah, that's a 4-8 pair. It can't be 5, 7, it can't be 3, 9. It needs to add up to 12, so I can actually do that. That's 8, that's 4, that's 4, that's 1. So this is 1, 5, 6. That's good. That's 6, that's 1, that's 5. So that's 5, that's 6, that's 5, that's 6. What about this column then? This is a 4 or an 8. But should we be thinking about the 2 line segments in box 5? There are only 2, so we're looking at 18 segments, aren't we? Well, we are, but I'm not sure what that means. Perhaps, oh, I know. No, I'm going to get that digit. That's what we should do. That's much more sensible. Yeah, in this column, what have we not put in? 1 and 6. I don't know the order. Actually, I do know the order. I do know the order because I can't put 6 next to 3. So 1 and 6, but now these add up to 10. And that segment adds up to 18. So that's 8, that's 8, that's 4, that's 4. That's 1, that's 8. That's 8, that's 1. This is 5 or 7. And that's rather beautiful, because you can't put 7 next to 2. So that's going to be 5. That's going to be 7. That's not 5. That's not 5. Oh, don't, please. Please don't be... Please, please, please don't. Oh, look, it's beautiful. The 4 here stops that being 5. So that's 6, 7, 5. 5, 6, 7. Boom. That is one of the most brilliant puzzles. Full stop. Just full stop. Congratulations. Thank you for solving my puzzle. You're most welcome. That was fantastic, Timpanist. What a mind you have. That's your second ever puzzle. Well, firstly, thank you to Leander for sending us such an effusive email. Thank you to Timpanist for creating the puzzle and also creating a rule set that was so intriguing. I felt I had to have a go at it. Thank you to Snooker Fan for putting such an amazing comment on and making me think I had to have a go at it. And I had full license to have a go at it. And thank you to you if you're still watching. I really do appreciate it. Let me know in the comments how you got on with the puzzle. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.